Hi everybody, it's Natasha here from A Mind Apart. I'm just setting up for today's live class. I'm just going to set up the Facebook as well. Nice to see you all. I hope you're all right. Hi everybody, it's Natasha from A Mind Apart. We're just getting set up for today's live adult class. So just in the next minute before we start, make sure you've got a nice clear space today. We are going to be using our bodies. Make sure you're wearing something comfortable and you are ready to move about, because today's class is body language and we are going to be looking at what our body communicates. What story is it telling and how is it telling it? That's us starting today. Hi, Conley. I can see that you're already starting to watch us. That's brilliant. So today is body language. This is A Mind Apart. I'm Tasha. Let's get started. So for the last few weeks, we've been doing little sections of the types of things that you would do in a normal adult performing arts class, or in fact, a normal performing arts class, all the types of things that we would look at. And what I've been trying to do is to relate them to how they might be helpful to you in real life. Now, this one, body language, I think everyone's going to go, yeah, actually, I understand how that's going to be relatable. It is going to be relatable because at any point in your life, your body communicates a story. Even without you talking, it communicates something. And sometimes we have to control that. We have to monitor it. We have to keep an eye on it to make sure that what it's communicating is what we're supposed to be communicating. And a really good example of that is in an interview. If we want to be communicating confidence, we need to check that our body is also communicating confidence. But also in conflict situations, we want our body to be able to be communicating calm, soothing, in control vibes. So that is why we think body language is really important. But in performing arts, if our body is telling a different story to what our language is, then we need to make sure that that all fits together. So today, we're going to start off and look a little bit at body language. It's quite a big thing to look at it in 20 minutes. So I'm going to do two main tasks for you today to start thinking about it. Okay? In every Mind Apart class, we start off with a check-in. So today's check-in, I've done some verbal check-ins before, but today I want you to think about a non-verbal gesture that communicates something. So I would like you to pick one non-verbal gesture that communicates something. And for your check-in, I would like you to show me what that is. So for today, my non-verbal gesture is going to be this. Okay? And that is communicating hello or goodbye. And that is what I'm communicating with my non-verbal gesture. What's yours going to be? If you think there's an emoji to match it, then add it into the comments. That'd be brilliant. You can add it in now or add it in after. If there's an emoji to go with your non-verbal communication, for instance, this one's always a good one, or this one. It's always a good one. Or no. Any of those. If you think that you've got one, then put it in the box down below. And I would like you to keep that in mind because we're going to use it later. Brilliant. Let's just start off with a little bit of a body warm-up. We are using our bodies today, so I'm going to focus specifically on warming our bodies up rather than our voices. So what we've done in the last few sessions is done some stretches. So I realised that we haven't actually done much joint work. And for some of us, getting towards an older age, we have to really think about our joints. So we're going to start off with a really simple joint rotation. Let's start off with our heads. I just want you to put your chin to your chest for me. Good. And then try to put your ear to your shoulder. Don't bring your shoulder up. And then the other side. And then back. And you're going to create a nice long circle with that. Really waking up your neck joint. Fantastic. When we get to the back, making sure we're not putting too much pressure on. And even if we can, maybe opening our mouths. Oh, nice to see that some people are watching. That's brilliant. Good. And just keeping going. Keep this nice and slow. It's supposed to be quite a kind of relaxing stretch. Good. So we're just moving our heads around. Good. Okay, fantastic. From there, I just want you to roll your shoulders back. I want you to do 4 back and 4 forwards. This makes some nice crackly, poppy noises, like bubble wrap for me. Forward, 4 forward. Good. Okay, let's just continue on with our hands. So first of all, just give your hands a really good wiggle for me. Your fingers, sorry. Good. Thinking about your thumbs. Sometimes we forget about our thumbs, giving them a really good stretch and a wiggle. And then let's move that into circling our wrists one way, and don't forget to rotate the other way. Brilliant. And then we're going to move that into our elbows one way and then the other. If you find this one difficult, because it is a bit of a strange thing, imagine drawing a circle with your index fingers and the other way. It's not like very usual thing we do with our arms. Good. And then we're going to circle our arms back. When we do this, try and keep your arms as straight as possible. Even if they don't come into the middle, try and keep them straight, because that's kind of how the stretch, even if it's like, you know, you want to do it like this, that's fine. But try and keep them as straight as possible. We go back and let's go forwards. And anybody ever learned this in PE in school? Can you do one way, one the other? If you can, do that. If not, don't worry. Okay, and while we're just shaking those arms, just flop your arms from side to side. Just, again, shaking out those shoulder blades and the joints that connect to your arms. Good. And then if you can stand a little bit wider than you were standing before, box step or however much you know it. So you're standing wider than your shoulder width. So just standing a little bit into more of a box step. And we're just going to start rotating our hips. A yoga teacher or something like that would tell you that you hold a lot of stress in your hips. I certainly do, so I think it's really important to get that rotation. Good. And then if you can, you're going to balance on one leg and rotate your ankle. If you struggle to balance, the best thing to do is to focus on a point in the wall in front of you and keep that focus. Or you could do the old PE trick, putting your finger in your ear or hand on your head or on your shoulder. But again, that balance is all about creating the focus. And while we're there, let's rotate the knee joint. So you're taking it from the ankle to the knee. Good. And then follow it finally with that. Lovely. And swap over to the other leg and your foot to your ankle joint. Really give your toes a good wiggle there as well. Remember we wiggled our fingers. And then the knee. And then the hip. I don't know about you, but my living room's really, really warm right now. So I don't think we'll need too much warming up to do. Okay, before we move on to our main activity, I know we're not using too much of our voice, but I do want to continue on with our breathing activities. So if you've been watching the sessions in continuation, we've been adding on a little bit harder and a little bit harder a breathing exercise. So I'm going to move on to the one that's a little bit harder. Excuse me, but it doesn't matter because it's good for everyone to do. This is a really good way to slow down your heartbeat, to work on relaxation, but strengthen the muscles that you need to control your voice and control lots of other different parts of our body. So I want to continue on with just this breathing exercise, if that's all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in for 4. We're not going to breathe into our shoulders like this. We're going to breathe into our stomachs, into our diaphragm, like this. We are going to breathe in for 4. And this time, we started this a little bit last week. We are going to hold for 4. And by hold, I mean tense, really tense all your muscles, and then breathe out for 8. So it's going to look like this. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, tense, 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 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In for 4, hold for 4, and then out for 8. That is really going to help you tense and strengthen those intercostal muscles in between your ribs and your diaphragm. Okay, let's try it. We're going to do it twice. Ready? And breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2. Tense, tense, tense. 3, 4. And breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lovely. Well done. Let's do it one more time. Hi, Emma. Nice to see you. Thanks for watching. Okay, so if you're just joining us now, we're just doing a breathing exercise. We're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and out for 8. Ready? And breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wonderful. Well done. Brilliant. Okay, so let's move on to our main activity for today. So before we think about what our body communicates without us talking, at every point in our lives, our body is communicating something. Even without us communicating it through our mouths or our facial expressions, our body is communicating that as well. You will know this from when you say to somebody, "How are you today?" And they say, "Fine." It's not just how they say, "Fine," but it's the way that their body looks as they say it. Shoulders scrunched over, maybe even lower down, with their arms kind of flopping to the sides. Maybe even their kind of neck is relaxed and down, and their knees are relaxed. We will know that. And then we say to them, "Are you really fine?" And that promotes our conversation. Now, that communication is happening all the way through our body. And it is really important that we recognize that our body often communicates things that our mouth, different things that our mouth does. And we think about that in certain situations. We think about what that communicates. So in order to be able to have that conversation, we have to start off in neutral. I've talked a little bit about neutral a few weeks ago, but neutral is blank. It is without character, without personality, without communication. Now, it is ultimately still communicating something, but we must start with blank to be able to think about what we add to that to communicate. So let's start off in neutral, completely blank. I'm going to go from head to toe to try and get us to think about completely blanking out any communication from our body language. So from our heads, our neck's nice and long, and chin not too far down and not too far up, in the middle. Think about relaxing your face, relaxing your facial muscles and your jaw so that you're not showing any kind of communication across there. Now, obviously you can't see my eyes because of my glasses, but think about relaxing your eyes as well. So it's not about shutting them, it's not about closing them, it's just keeping them nice and relaxed. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, I've done a tension session a few weeks ago. You can look back and see it. Okay, so then neck's nice and long, face relaxed, arms beside our side, not forward, not back, but beside our side. Feet shoulder width apart, like this. Knees nice and loose. Remember all this because we've done it before with a body check-in. But this time, tilting your pelvis in, taking a nice big deep breath in, breathing out. This is our neutral pose. And this is what we're going to come back to. Neutral. In between each one of our conversations that I'm going to have with you now, where I'm going to start to get you to think about emotion and where that presents on your body, I want you to come back to neutral in the middle. And you might have to do that with breath. I can already see I'm starting to come out of neutral by tensing my fingers and changing the place. They need to be nice and relaxed at your side. But this is neutral, and we're going to come back here. Okay, let's start off with happy. I don't want you to create me a still image today. We've done a little bit of still image before. I just want you to start moving around your space in a happy sort of way. So it's not over the moon. It's not the best day ever. It's just happy. Everything's all right. Content, maybe. Kind of happy. And I want you to think about presenting that in your body, in your face, and the way that you move around your space. So I know not all of us have got huge spaces, but we can move a little bit around our space. And we're going to be moving in a happy sort of way. Now, as we move, I want you to really be conscious of what that is showing on your body, what it is that you're doing that's different. That's different than you would be if you weren't presenting a happy, sort of content sort of way. So for me, my arms start to move a little bit more, but they don't move in a tense way. They're moving quite a chilled and relaxed sort of way, floppy even. And my feet do the same. They're kind of dragging about on the floor, nowhere to go fast, no rush. My knees are nice and relaxed. They're not tense. And so is my face. So this is our happy sort of way. Okay, let's go back to neutral. And next I want us to move into sad. So I just want us to think about moving around the space in a sad sort of way. You don't have to move far, just move a bit. Now you'll notice my arms are actually quite relaxed, similar to how they were in happy, but they're not moving about as much. They're not moving with the same amount of freedom. In fact, they're quite lackluster and kind of just a bit down. Now, the most important part of this bit, the most important part of sadness that we can see is my shoulders here. When we were happy, they were up. They were flopping about with my arms, but now they're really down. And my arms have even come to the forefront. They've come round to the front like this. And that's our sadness. My feet are quite similar, but they're just not got the same energy about them. They're not moving at the same pace. Okay, and back to neutral. Good. I hope you're starting to see the difference between your bodies as we think about those emotions, and also thinking about why, if your body moves in a certain way, what emotion it presents. So even if I didn't say present sadness, but I went like this, you would know that it's quite a negative emotion. It's not very easy to be happy, cheery, excited when I'm like this. So I think that that's important, that you understand that what kind of that rolled, shouldered over communicates to people. A little disclaimer here before we move on to the next one. I recognise that not everybody's the same, and not everybody processes and produces information in the same way, and produces emotion in the same way. I recognise that this to somebody might be quite happy, but I think it's really important that we think about the stereotypical when we're referring to body language, because it's a really good place to start. But if we were in a class, we would really unpick that a little bit more. We would really pull it apart and think, no, but what does it really mean? But for the purpose of today, for our introduction, we're going to think about the masses rather than the individual. So what the masses that presents to. Okay, back to neutral. We're standing nice and tall. We're going to take a breath. We're blanking our body and our faces, and we are neutralizing it. Okay, the next emotion I want us to do is scared. And I want you to really think about how you would move around if you were scared. So right now you'll see there's a real difference in my shoulders here from sadness. My shoulders are up, but they're not relaxed as they were with happy. And my arms definitely are showing tension. And that tension is coming all the way through to my fingertips. And if I start to think about what that might look like for me, my arms and my chest, it would be all up here. Yes, I could feel it in my legs. My legs might start to feel tension, but really that scared feeling would be all kind of presented to you here. And maybe kind of on my facial expressions, furrowed in my brow, but really it'd be all kind of about here. So what does it do for you? Can you recognize on your own body how that presents and what it is that your body language communicate when you're thinking, when you're trying to be scared, like when you're thinking about that? Okay, and back to neutral. Good. We're just going to do one more. I'm just going to take a breath in neutral. Lovely. The last one I want us to do is anger. And I want you to really think about what parts of your body start to really show that anger. So again, my shoulders, they're not forward at all. They're back, they're high. And really my arms are back and high. And maybe even my hands are starting to really feel that stress and tension. And even in my fingertips, I'm starting to feel that. And I can feel the tension in my legs, and maybe they are showing a little bit more, but really it's all here. And the tension in my neck, and it's scrunched, and in my chin and in my jaw. And what it's presenting to people, even without the voice, even without the breath, is that this is not positive. It's not positive how I feel. It's not positive how I'm coming across. And automatically it's starting to make me feel tense, never mind you, because I'm starting to really feel that. So I'm now going to go back to neutral and relax that. Okay, good. Okay, just relax back into your kind of normal self. I think why it's really good to recognize is how these small changes. So if I just started to think about my hands, for example, how they changed between happy, sad, scared, angry, just in themselves, I am presenting an emotion. I am communicating something about how I feel. And no matter how much I try and change that, I have to recognize that that's happening. Now, for me, my hands and my arms are where I show all of my stress and tension. If I'm really agitated, you can see it and feel it in my hands. So what I have to do in stressful situations, in situations when I don't want to be presenting anger or agitation or stress, is I have to find something to do with my hands, something positive and something that's helping me towards my goal. So often that might be putting it behind my back. Certainly when I was a waitress, or when I worked in retail, or when I worked in a shop, that would be the best thing for me to do. And then behind my back, I can fidget all I want, but it is communicating that I am calm and ready to take your order, sir. Or if I am teaching, I often hold a pen and I give myself something to do that is positive and gives me something to hold. And it stops me from being tense when I'm teaching, and it makes it seem like I'm slightly more in control of things. Recognizing what your body language communicates is half the step to changing it and modifying it when you're in certain situations. And we're going to do one exercise after this, but this particular thing, I'm going to leave you with the idea of crossing your arms. I just want you to think about what this image communicates to you right now. If you see, it's not just that my arms are crossed, my legs are further apart, my hips are pushed forwards, my back is arched backwards, and I've got a real lean on. Just think about what this pose communicates to you right now. And if you want to comment below, that'd be brilliant, like what it is that you see when you see this. Because what it says to me is I'm comfortable. This is my comfy pose. This is what I would do if I was waiting in the queue at the post office, or if I was at a bus stop. This is what I comfortably do. But I have to be conscious that what this presents is anger, is boredom. It's not a positive emotion that this body language presents, but this is where I'm comfortable. So I have to be really conscious that I don't want to present that in certain situations. I don't want to present this negative body language communication. So I have to be conscious of that. Even though this is where I'm comfortable, even though this is where I feel protected and safe, I have to release my arms, really relax them by my side, bring my legs in, and I'm ready. I might stand with a little tilt to one side. That's comfortable too. But my arms, I have to be really conscious. Because look at this one as well. But again, this is where I'm comfortable. So I have to think about what that communicates. Do I want to communicate anger, boredom, kind of attitude? Probably not. There's lots of situations where I don't want to communicate that. I don't want to give that vibe off to people because it's not how I feel. So I will unhook my arms and I'll give them something to do. I hope that made sense today. It's quite a big task to tackle in a short period of time. But just before I finish, I want you to go back to the image that the gesture that you thought of right at the beginning. So for those of you that have just joined us, we thought of a non-verbal gesture right at the beginning. Mine was this. My non-verbal gesture was saying, hi, or bye. But I want you to think of a non-verbal gesture. We've talked a lot about different movements we can make, but I want to think about different energies we can give to that non-verbal gesture. And how we can change that as well in different situations. So just before we finish, I would like you to take your non-verbal gesture. Could be this, which is mine, could be this, could be this. And I want you to think about that, and we're going to change it in different energies. The first one, I would like you to do it as your regular energy. How you think that gesture should be done. All together now. 3, 2, 1. Good. Well done. Next, I want you to do it with a really low energy. And I want you to see what difference that makes to the same gesture. A really low energy. Okay, same gesture, but a really low energy. I'll show you an example. This will be mine. Okay? So let's all do it after 3, 3, 2, 1. See how that, I exaggerated that. Obviously, I did the face, but the arms were fairly similar. Okay, and now you want to do the really high energy. 3, 2, 1. Good. And think about that same gesture has been communicated now in 3 separate ways, just by using our body language. The difference between this, and this is just how much energy we put behind something. I just want you to leave you with that thought today before we finish. Thank you very much, everybody that's joined us. If you only joined halfway through, please watch back. That would be brilliant. And comment below on the things that I've asked you to comment on. Please share this. We would really, really appreciate if you could share it. We do want to get the word out there that these free sessions are happening. And if you've got any ideas of what you would like me to do the sessions on, next week, for instance, we're going to continue on. So what would you like me to do? What would you find useful? Please comment below. That would be absolutely lovely. And thank you all for joining us today. Goodbye.